The Stranger Things finale is finally here, and nothing is left untouched. Today on MMX Night, I'm giving a complete summary of finale episode. Ready? Let's begin. Spoiler alert. The episode opens with the sky over Hawkins turning a deep, bruised crimson. The abyss has begun to merge with reality. At the military hangars, chaos erupts as gates malfunction and holes tear through the infrastructure. Soldiers, led by a ruthless commander and the cold Dr. K, interrogate guards, suspecting that the anomalies are not malfunctions but deliberate attacks. While the military scrambles to contain the perimeter, the main group prepares for their final stand. Murray Bauman pulls the truck over, his voice frantic as he warns Hopper and Eleven that the entire dimension is collapsing. Hopper is the first out, followed by the rest. In a quiet pocket of time before the storm, Mike catches Eleven's arm. He gazes at her with an intensity that speaks of years of shared trauma and love. He admits the plan is insane and that everything could go wrong, but he promises her that after this last battle, the nightmare will finally end. Eleven, on the verge of tears, hugs him tightly, and they share a fleeting, hopeful smile before she turns to follow Kali, Hopper, and Murray into the bunker. While the primary team moves toward the sensory deprivation tank, a secondary unit, consisting of Nancy, Steve, Jonathan, Dustin, and Lucas, ascend a massive 150-meter radio tower to monitor the rift. On a distant church roof, Mr. Clark and Erica calculate their distance and speed with mathematical precision. Mr. Clark is nervous, but Erica, with her characteristic confidence, reassures him that they are doing what must be done to save the world. Meanwhile, at the WSQK radio station, Vicky and Robin manage the communication lines. Vicky notices interference in the power grid and frantically alerts the team. Robin, moving through the forest, tells her not to stress. It's just the energy of the rift beginning to pulse. Deep within the bunker, Eleven enters the water tank. She is flooded with memories of her childhood in the lab, the experiments, the isolation, and the first time she ever touched the Mind Flayer. Murray restores power to the facility, and Hopper gives the order. Eleven is to find Henry, and they will not pull her out until he is destroyed. Simultaneously, inside the psychic realm, Kali creates an illusion projected version of Max. They find Henry in a distorted version of the Creel house, surrounded by kidnapped children, including Holly Wheeler. The children are in a trance, being used as batteries for Henry's ritual. In the real world, tragedy strikes. The military discovers the bunker. A helicopter equipped with high-frequency speakers emits a sound that neutralizes psychic powers, paralyzing Eleven and Kali. Hopper manages to drag Eleven to safety, but Kali is left vulnerable. A soldier corners her, mocking her for being abandoned by her family. Kali spits in his face, defiant to the end. Hopper returns, firing his weapon to save her, but another soldier strikes him down. High above, Murray realizes the danger. He prepares a grenade and launches it at the helicopter. The explosion destroys the sonic weapon, but in the crossfire, Kali is fatally wounded. Eleven screams as she feels her sister's life force fade, using her restored power to hurl the soldiers away, but it is too late. Kali dies on the cold floor of the bunker. The psychic battle intensifies, the true incarnation of the Mind Flayer's power. It is revealed that Henry did not create the evil. He was its first vessel, infected through a bullet hole of trauma. While Byers, feeling the connection, begins to experience Henry's pain. He sees the disobedient, the Mind Flayer's true form, controlling Henry. Will screams out to the team, warning them that they must destroy the vessel to kill the beast. At the radio tower, the abyss finally collides with reality. The structure begins to groan and tilt. Steve Harrington trips and falls from platform, plummeting toward the dark mist below. Jonathan Byers lunges, catching Steve's hand just in time. The two former rivals lock eyes, a moment of absolute trust passing between them as Jonathan pulls Steve back to safety. Max leads the children, including Holly and Derek, toward a mental exit, a portal appearing as a cave. Henry pursues them, his form flickering between the man and the monster. He manages to grab Holly's leg, but Derek, showing immense bravery. In the physical world, the Mind Flayer's giant spider form emerges from the rift. The tower team begins their assault. Nancy, Jonathan, and Robin use flamethrowers to scorch the beast. Every blow to the Mind Flayer causes physical agony to Henry in the psychic realm. Eleven pins Henry down, but he fights back, his Vecna skin peeling away to reveal the boy beneath. Will enters the fray mentally. 11 finally kills Vecna, and the Mind Flayer's heart stops pumping too. Joyce Byers arrives at the bunker. She sees Henry's physical body twitching and, fueled by years of maternal protective rage, she takes an axe and decapitates him. "Don't mess with my family," she whispers. The war is won, but the military has arrived in full force, arresting the team. Mike manages to reach 11 near the portal. 11 looks at Mike with tears in her eyes. She tells him that this is the only way, that as long as she is a target, none of them will ever be safe. She asks him to thank everyone for their kindness. Mike begs her to stay, but she kisses him one last time, a goodbye that carries the weight of their entire history. As the C4 detonates, a massive sphere of energy erupts. 11 stands still in the center of the light, her body seemingly dissolving as the portal snaps shut, sealing the upside down away from Hawkins once and for all. 18 months pass. The town of Hawkins has undergone a miraculous renovation. The soldiers are gone, replaced by families and normalcy. Robin is back at the radio station as a guest host, her voice drifting over the airwaves as she reflects on how the Hawkins curse has finally been broken. She mentions that everyone has changed. They're no longer the children who went into the woods. Steve is now a baseball coach, mentoring kids like Derek. We see Max skating. She has recovered her sight and her strength, though they both remain wary of the dark. Will, Hopper, and Joyce gather for photos. Joyce and Hopper are finally engaged, the trauma of the past decade etched on their faces but softened by peace. Mike, however, is found by Hopper sitting alone on a bench at the memorial for the fallen. He tells Hopper he doesn't understand why 11 had to leave. Hopper, drawing from his own history of loss, tells Mike he can either live in the pain of her disappearance or accept the gift of the life she gave him. Mike eventually joins the graduation party, apologizing to his mother and reuniting with his friends. Dustin, the valedictorian of the class of '89, gives a speech at graduation. He talks about good chaos, the kind that breaks down walls and brings geeks, jocks, and outcasts together. He pays a subtle tribute to Eddie Munson, wearing a Hellfire shirt beneath his gown. The final night of the episode sees the original group, Mike, Will, Dustin, Lucas, and Max, gather in the Wheeler basement for one last game of Dungeons & Dragons. As they finish their campaign, defeating an evil wizard, Mike reveals a secret. He explains that Kali, the sister, was as cunning as 11. He tells the group his theory, that before the explosion, Kali used the last of her energy to cast a powerful invisibility spell. He suggests that the 11 they saw die was an illusion, much like the ones Kali used to trick the military. He believes 11 escaped during the chaos and found a quiet place to live, a town called home, where she is finally happy and free. The others, moved to tears, agree that they choose to believe this version of the story. The friends go upstairs for dinner, but the camera lingers on the basement table. A new generation, Holly, Derek, and their friends, takes their place. Holly opens a D&D manual, her eyes bright with the same curiosity Mike once had. As they begin to argue about the rules, Derek stops and sniffs the air. He asks if anyone smells gas, noting that it doesn't smell like a normal leak. And the camera stops at the door, and this is where Stranger Things comes to an end. The cycle of the hero's journey has ended for the elders, but the mystery of Hawkins remains, buried just beneath the surface, waiting for the next group of friends to find it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss more videos like this. See you in the next one. Peace.